have a confession. This week I have no plan. And I had some ups and downs this week. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of taken me out of myself once again. But you know, as much as we have the ups and downs, and as much as we can't control what happens in our life, we can still show up to our creative work, our daily practice, and we can keep investigating and looking and seeing what's there, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, right? Because sometimes that is like the only, not the only time, but it's in that hard moment where we really get to see ourselves and what we're made of and who we really are, you know, underneath all of that, the scars, the wounds, the stuff that we cover over. So we move through this stuff in art and life, right? And sometimes we think we need a plan, and a plan is good. I'm not denying that. Go ahead and plan away. But what happens? Oops, I have no plan this week. I have no plan. I'm Natalie D'Adamio. I'm a mixed media artist, and I also am an intuitive creativity coach and soulful creator, and I help people come back into their authentic freedom, their authentic selves, their expressions. I like to say here, it's all about the expressive nature of being, and I'm gonna get more into that in another video, but it basically means living into all of your expressions, not just in paint, words, voice, energy, even how you look, right? That's an expression. So how do you want to show up in the world? Big, bold, bright, or, you know, neutral, dark gray. I don't know. It's your choice. Over here, it's all about the big, bold, and bright, baby, though. I gotta say. And for a long time, I was afraid of that. But the more and more I work, and the more I have the life explosions, the more I'm shown that it can only be what it is for me, and it's been a long journey to get here. So that's what I help you uncover in one-to-one coaching, like how to come back into yourself in artwork, in your creative practice, and even in your life. So if you're interested in that, just look in the comments below. I have a link to work with me, and we could set something up. So I have no plan for this week, and I decided, well, we're just gonna start with a big blank sheet of paper, and mark, make, and express, and see what's inside. And I'm going to talk you through that process. So you can follow me along to the end of the video. I'm just basically starting from nothing and with no plan, and it's all about pure play, pure expression, pure emotionality, and that is exciting. Sometimes it's scary though, and there's that fine line. So if you just want to follow me through this video, and I'll talk you through a little about what I'm thinking about without having the plan, and how we can engage and enter an artwork, you know, from the beginning, and how we can start to think about things a little bit differently, and engage our senses and our intuition and access more energy and move into the experience. So I have a confession. I was a little behind this week, and I have no plan for what I'm about to do. But I always have ideas, even when I don't have plans. And this is like a good opportunity to talk about how to start, because sometimes there's a lot of fear in starting something, whether that's in an artwork or in life. I'm just gonna work on this large watercolor paper. It's 18 inch by 24 inch, 140 pound, acid-free paper, Fabriano. So the idea is gonna be born from having no plan. We're just gonna start working on this blank piece of paper. Oftentimes, like, staring at a blank page can be so intimidating, right? There's many ways to gain insight and to start a work. Sometimes we can just start writing down how we're feeling, and it doesn't even have to be legible. You can use the letter forms to convey the mark in a gesture. This is just a marker. And you can exaggerate, like take any letter and exaggerate it into line. And kind of riff off of that, you know. When we're looking for shapes and looking for lines, there's many ways to find them. We just have to get creative about it. Art making is really about accessing our creativity. And now maybe we grab a color because we did that. And you're just kind of maybe following off of what was already happening. That's the way to do it. And you can follow the feeling of these gestural letter type marks and move into the next experience. Now I'm just taking a simple graphite pencil for, it's like another subtle difference. So you could call this the underlayer, but I would also argue if you worked freely around the page, you might even be able to call this the first piece. That's a perception thing. I just want to stress that because oftentimes we think it needs hundreds and hundreds of layers, and yeah, if that's what you're going for, but you might just want to go for something more simplistic. That was actually my struggle for a while. Then I just realized there's different forms and modes of expression. One isn't necessarily better than the other. It's just sometimes the conversation in the external world is talking about one more than the other, if that makes sense to you. But I'm a fan of immediacy and what can happen in a moment. People have to start to draw the line for themselves. Pun intended. Now this is just like a Neocolor crayon. I'll put everything I'm using in the comments below as a supply list. What's cool about the Neocolors, and that's Caran d'Ache, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is that if you use a little water, and this is just a spray bottle, they're water soluble. But they're also, what's great about them for me is that they're water soluble, but they also don't really, you have the opportunity to choose to activate them like as much as you want or as little. If you don't really activate them too much, they still hold the line like as a crayon. So that is great. They're very like versatile in that. They're maybe like a little expensive, but they're definitely worth it. And you can always start off with like a basic set. They're probably one of my favorite things. So see, I'm just playing off of what I started with these marker lines, then to this green line, and then a few graphite marks. And I'm like moving around the surface plane. So I'm sort of thinking about structure, but I'm really keeping structure loose in mind. And I'm gonna make other videos about composition, and we can go over some basics. Because you do want to maybe know the basics so you know that you're breaking them. But ultimately, the thing about knowing them, then you know that you're actually breaking them. Because sometimes you want to maybe force the viewer into an area. Or if you don't want to, or you want to make it a little off. Maybe. You know, it just depends what you want to say ultimately in these abstractions. You know, some people are just interested abstracting the landscape and they were looking at it that way. But I'm more interested in like taking the emotionality and in the defiance a little bit and seeing what happens there. And also energy, color, line, shape, form. It's all there. It's just there's definitely preferences, right? And that this is the important thing about choosing preferences for yourself, because you're gonna like one thing more than another. Even when you look at something, you're gonna be drawn to one thing more than another, and it's not really right or wrong. It's just what it is. You know? That's really important because we can get so hung up. I know because I've been there, and I still am there sometimes, depending on the day. You know, I still have to fight through these things. It doesn't really go away. So if you're in fear and need to start, I would say just start. It's really the only way. It sounds so dumb, like when you say, oh, just start. What do you mean? Don't I need all these things? And you kind of do need the things, right? But you also need to just, well, face the fear if there is fear and start accessing where you want to go. This is just a chalk pastel. See, just in a short amount of time, it's been about 9 minutes here, we've already went a lot of places, you know, and that's cool. I like to use the back end of the brush, just drag in. For some reason, I'm obsessed with like 3-4 lines, and it just spontaneously happened in the beginning, and now it just becomes part of what I do, and I just do it. I'm not really thinking about it. That's the other thing. The more you're gonna work through these mark making ideas and starting, and over time you just start to come online in yourself, you know, and build your own understanding of what you really love, and you'll start to see the repetition naturally coming out of the unconscious, because it's just gonna come out and it's gonna change as you change, which that makes sense, right? Because then that's growth. In the beginning, it might be really hard because you want to have all these things in all the right places, and and all the answers, and why isn't it doing this and that, but it's just part of the process. So this is just a water spray bottle. You can get it in usually a cleaning supply aisle. I like to play with the different viscosities, so the thickness and the thinness. Sometimes I like to grab like book pages and just use them to be wiping away, because then this can make my collage paper. I do sit down and make collage papers, but I like to be able to just kind of have them spontaneously happen on their own. It's more enjoyable for me. I really love the randomness and the automatic process in drawing and painting, and just seeing how things form on their own, and following the energy and the life and the synchronicities and everything that can happen in that process. I'm just grabbing a pencil again. I like to go back into the wet paint and kind of make these marks, so it's more of like a relief mark. And then I'm gonna grab some white and just put it in here. I'm really kind of trusting like my ability to grab and learn from the feeling and follow the energy of everything than I am like thinking all about the technical aspect of something or how it's gonna be. So it's highly, highly intuitive, and we can train our intuition by using other practices. And just becoming more comfortable with ourselves and what we love. Because then you're just going to do it more and more. And then it becomes your own personal innate voice and language over time. Alright, so this is just a first layer. And you can see that there's a lot going on. And it's already starting to take shape. But there wasn't much thought in that. It was just pure play and pure energy and pure emotionality that's coming into the picture. And we're like starting to learn how to trust when we make the first mark. It's going to lead into creating all the other places to go. So if we look at this artwork as one big adventure, like we're going on many journeys and pit stops and detours along the way, and we're gonna just keep doing that over and over again. So this was a video because I didn't have a plan, and it was all just about pure play and seeing what's gonna come out today. And that's how often this whole process starts. There is no plan, and there is just diving in and seeing what's there, and it's a repetition of over time finding our way back to ourselves again and again and again, and that's always changing. So we don't have to be so scared to start, and we don't have to get so worked up on what it's going to be, because eventually it will just be. Thank you for sticking around and watching this video to the end and joining me with no plan. We did go on many little journeys and had some pit stops and detours along the way on this paper. It's not done by any means. And it's just a resting point, and we can always re-enter that work and start again with the same ideas in mind, or maybe bring in different ideas. And that's all it is. So thank you for joining me. If you're new here, just hit subscribe and like and all that good stuff. And if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I help people, move deeper into their authentic selves and the freedom of all expressions. That's what it's all about, is getting you back on track and getting you into that big, bold, bright energy and expansive person that you're meant to be, and living into that personal freedom. And power. Yeah. I'm excited about that.